But the children, led by a young girl, Kinderlore, confronted the commander of the Swedish forces and implored him to spare the town. Dinkelsbühl was miraculously saved. In gratitude to the children, the town created the Kindersäche, a 10-day festival still held every year in mid-July. Over 1,000 people take part in this colourful pageant in which children play a major role. Hans-Peter Matthaus is one of the festival organizers. He is well acquainted with the history of this prospering medieval city.
Look, Antonia. That's Dinkelsbühl over there. It's an ancient town that has always been commercially active. Its recorded history goes all the way back to 1188, when it was located at the crossroads of two important trading routes, one of which went from Prague to Strasbourg via Nuremberg, and the other from Cologne to Italy. That's why Dinkelsbühl is such a beautiful, thriving city.
Because of its prosperity, Dinkelsbühl was coveted by a number of imperial powers, and in 1632, it was besieged by Swedish troops. An event the townspeople have never forgotten. In 1897, an inhabitant of the town came up with the idea of commemorating the siege with an annual pageant centered on the girl hero Kinderlore. Since this time, the Kindersäche has hardly changed, and each generation proudly maintains the tradition. Each year, the town awakens to the sound of martial music, announcing the opening of the Kindersäche. Stefan is a high school teacher. Since 1998, he has played the role of a town councillor.
I wear the costume of citizen Matthias Hecklen. I play the part of someone who actually existed. He was a restaurant owner and fishmonger. Moritz is wearing the costume of one of Kinderlore's attendants. It's the costume of a patrician, a higher social class than mine. Moritz will be playing an attendant in this year's pageant, but not next year, as he'll be too old. You have to be between 3 and 4 years old to play this particular role. There are lots of children who want the part, so they are selected by drawing lots.
Everyone in Dinkelsbuhl will take part in the pageant at one time or another.
Die Kinderzeche ist einfach Tradition bei uns im Hause und
the Kindersäche is an old tradition in our town, and we really enjoy taking part in it. And we believe that our children should participate too. This will be their first time. When they were only tiny, they were with us on the hay wagon, and they said they would love to play Kinderlore. And they were only 3 at the time. Anne-Kathrin and Veronica will be playing Lormatchens, the girls who accompany Kinderlore. Of course, I'd only be too pleased if they could play Kinderlore when they're older. But that depends on them.
Monika Faller has been taking part in the pageant since she married a Dinkelsbuhl lawyer, Franz Faller, almost 10 years ago. Franz Faller has played a number of different roles over the years. When he was 10, he was responsible for waking up the town on each day of the festival.
Prima.
Wie jedes Jahr.
Jedes Jahr. Was ist denn? Was sagst du, Ann-Kathrin?
What have you got there, Aunt Catherine?
Ja, da war der Papa auf der...
Yes, Papa was on top of the chapel.
Zeig's mal, Papa.
Show me that. Oh, this is when your father was very young, Aunt Catherine.
Das ist ja schon ganz schön lange her, du.
That's a long, long time ago. I wish I was as young now as I was then.
Also meine Rolle ist Marketenderin.
I play the part of a settler. I supply the Swedish soldiers with beer and other drinks.
Ich mag diese Rolle sehr gern, weil ich mich da in die Zeit...
I really like this role. It's like being transported back to the time of the 30 Years' War.
Und es ist auf jeden Fall...
And I much prefer playing a Swede and taking over the town.
als hier in der Stadt zu sitzen.
It's a bit boring being a defender.
Die etwas langweiligere Rolle des Verteidigers zu spielen.
I'm on my way to St. George's Cathedral, where there's a special mass for the Kindersesh that's been held there every year since 1999. It's a Catholic church, but since the centenary of the festival, the mass has been for Protestants as well. We thank God and the children for having protected the town from being ransacked by the Swedish troops during the 30 Years' War.
1632, a tragic year for the inhabitants of Dinkelsbühl. Outside the city gates, the enemy troops are preparing their final assault. Along with Franz and Monica, 200 amateur actors dressed as Swedes calmly await the signal to attack. The actors are selected by audition and participate in the pageant for 2 years running. Their costumes are faithful reproductions of the period. They are owned by the municipality and kept in storage for the rest of the year. Hans Unger, a teacher of sport and religion, was selected for the role of Colonel von Spörot, the commander of the Swedish troops. To obtain the part, he grew a beard, as did all the other men who've played this role over the last 100 years.
We Swedes came here from Weissenberg in the east, and we've lain Dinkelsbuhl to siege. Reinforcements are on their way. We must overthrow the town today, so that troops can continue on their way and provide support for our king, Gustav Adolf. Here's the commander of the Swedish troops who's going to negotiate with the city elders.
I'm practicing my negotiating skills.
This is what we call the infirmary, and this is the camp doctor. He's a doctor in real life too. He's capable of dealing with whatever health problems we encounter in the camp.
This is the best sort of medicine.
Last year's colonel survived well on it. This device is used to extract bullets. You simply insert it into the wound and draw out the bullet.
Is Fritz or Martin there? This is the commander of the horse troops. He'll be leading them when they parade with their lances. His role is very important, as it's him that receives the keys of the city. When the councillors hand over the city, he's the one who carries the cushion bearing the keys.
We are the victors.
We dance in a circle as they did in the old days, or 2 by 2 in a long line like the English. All these dances date back to the 30 Years' War. They're part of our history and perfect for the pageant.
The siege of 1632 went on for several weeks. Food supplies were cut off, and the citizens endured a great deal of hardship, but they refused to surrender. At that time, the city was protected by solidly built fortifications.
Look, Antonia, those are the city ramparts. Dinkelsbühl was once an imperial city that belonged to the emperor. When it was besieged by the Swedes during the 30 Years' War, it should have been defended by the imperial forces. But they never arrived, and so the frightened townspeople simply waited it out behind the ramparts.
During the siege, the danger usually increased after nightfall, when the enemy would attempt to infiltrate the town. Each evening during the pageant, the night watchman, Richard Kirschner, makes his rounds of the city.
The night watchman wears a costume supplied by the municipality. A Dinkelsbuhl shoemaker makes his shoes, which are replicas of those worn in the Middle Ages. The collar and sleeves are similar to those worn by the municipal employees of the period. The night watchman acted as town policeman and carried a weapon like this one. He could arrest anybody that appeared suspect.
Ihr Leut und lasst euch sagen, unsere Glock hat 9 geschlagen. Bewahrt das Feuer und das Licht, dass unserer Stadt kein Schad geschieht. Vor des Feindes Grimm und Wüten tat der Herr die Stadt behüten. Er erhört der Kinder fliehen, so blieb Dinkelsbühl bestehen. Der Nachtwächter ging.
There has been a night watchman since the 15th century, when cities like this one were encircled by solid ramparts. If one of the lookouts didn't reply, the watchman would go up onto the ramparts and wake him up. This ritual gave birth to a song, and ever since the watchman has sung it on the hour as he walked the streets. There's a different verse for each hour. When the townsfolk heard the watchman's voice, they were able to sleep soundly.
Guten Abend, bonsoir.
Buonasera.
Buonasera, salute.
Dankeschön, Wohlsein.
That's the best little nip I've had all night.
Das freut mich.
Well, I'm pleased to hear it.
Taste this. It's like drinking a little bit of sunshine.
As smooth as silk.
Vorzüglich.
Menschen wachen kann nichts nützen. Gott muss wachen, Gott muss schützen. Herr, durch deine Güte und Macht schenk uns eine gute Nacht.
After several weeks of siege, the Swedes decide to take the city by fair means or foul.
Our leader, the commander of the Swedish troops, is advancing towards town in an attempt to overthrow it. The defenders are on the ramparts, but I think they're going to give up and hand over the city. I'm sure they can't hold out much longer.
The Swedish colonel, von Sperut, is with his troops outside the city gates, demanding the town's unconditional surrender. At the same time, the town council of the imperial city of Dinkelsbühl is meeting to decide whether or not the town should surrender.
At the height of the discussions, Kinderlehrer arrives. She suggests that if she and the children of the town were to confront the Swedish colonel, he might show mercy. But pressed by the citizens, the city elders prefer to surrender. Dinkelsbühl is to be handed over to the Swedes.
Also es ist schon sehr amüsant draußen im Schwedenlager und mir gefällt
It's much more interesting being on the Swedish side. I really enjoy the attack on the town and being on the winning side. We're all convinced that we'll triumph again this year.
And every year, the whole town turns out to watch the final episode, even though everyone knows it by heart. The city is about to capitulate.
Jetzt pass auf, jetzt kommst du im Fernsehen.
In the name of the King of Sweden, Colonel von Sperut takes possession of the city which has surrendered.
The Swedish soldiers enter the city with the intention of putting it to fire and the sword.
I declare the dismissal of the Imperial City's Catholic Council. From now on, the city will be ruled by a Protestant council.
For the love of your child that the Lord has taken with him, we beg you for mercy, my Lord. For the love of your child that will speak in our favor in front of his throne, we beg you for mercy. We beg you. Have pity.
Kinderlöhre's plan is successful. The Swedish colonel sees a youngster who reminds him of his son who died a few weeks earlier. He softens and the city is spared.
The son that God has taken away was as sweet and gracious as this child here. What better language than that of the eyes of a child who could not hear it? These children have made my heart fall. For the love of these children, the town will be spared from looting. No harm will be done. Mr. Mayor, and all of you, listen carefully. Your children have saved the town of Dinkelsbühl. Never forget to thank them.
In fact, it was neither Kinderlöhre nor any other child that saved the city. In reality, the inhabitants clubbed together and paid hard cash for the Swedes' clemency. But for the duration of the festival, everyone pretends to believe this charming legend.
I do this every year and I really enjoy it. I never get tired, and I still get as much pleasure out of it as I did 10 years ago.
Unfortunately, this is the last of this year's processions. We're all extremely tired. For the last 10 days, we haven't stopped. We're out in the streets all the time and hardly ever at home.
This is the last day of Kindersätsche. It's the last time we'll be singing together this year. The festivities will carry on into the night, then the lights will be switched off, and we'll start looking forward to next year's festival.